So my name is Scott Klein. I'm a Windows Azure technical evangelist. I work for DPE, so I'm over in Building 40, and I focus on the Windows Azure. So I'm a Windows Azure technical evangelist, and I focus on the data services around Windows Azure. So Windows Azure SQL Database and the corresponding data services like reporting, data sync, federation, data movement, like import-export service, stack, framework, things like that. I also focus on the Windows Azure storage, so Azure Tables and Azure Blobs, and then I also dab a little bit in the SQL in a VM. So from our IAS story, I work on SQL Azure in a VM.
We're honored to be having yourself and one of your team, I think, over for Database Days in April.
Wenming, yep.
What sort of things will you guys be covering?
So Wenming covers I'll talk about Wenming first. Wenming covers, he's our big data Hadoop HD Insight guy. So he'll be giving a session on Hadoop with Windows Azure HD Insight. I'll cover our past SQL database scalability. So I've got two sessions. I've got a pre-con and I have a normal session. So the pre-con is about taking your on-premise application and database and migrating that, the steps and process and technologies to migrate your application and database to the cloud. So to Windows Azure SQL Database, to websites, and everything that goes along with that. So do you have some BI? Do you have any reporting? Do you need to scale in the cloud? So it's really, A to Z, what does it take to take your on-premise application database to our Windows Azure platform?
Oh, very exciting. That's probably one of the questions that everyone's been asking. How do I get from normal, what we're doing now, to in the cloud?
Yeah, and there's a lot to think about. Like, my database is bigger than 150 gig. Well, okay, what do I do? Right, things like that. So there's a lot of things to think about. How do you do that? How do you scale in the cloud? So that's the pre-con. My normal session is really just taking a piece of that, and we're just talking about basically, really scaling your Windows Azure SQL database. So we're going to talk about SQL Federation and some other concepts around if you can't use SQL Federation, how do you scale your cloud database?
Are federations available on the on-premise database?
It is not at the moment.
Why is it so important then for the cloud? Is it something that the cloud is good for?
Absolutely. So yeah, great lead in. So on-prem you can scale up, right? You can add more hardware. You can cluster. You can and you got databases bigger than 150 gig, right? You got terabytes and petabytes of size databases. In SQL Azure, your biggest database right now is 150 gig, and there's reasons for that. And we'll get into that in the session. But it's really getting that, instead of the scale up model, SQL Azure allows you the scale out model. Partition my database across multiple nodes to truly scale, not just have one big database with on a large hardware. Let me truly scale and partition out my data to get that true scalability in the cloud.
Okay, great.
So I hope to catch you at my pre-con seminar at Database Days about the migration from on-prem to Windows Azure SQL or Windows Azure platform. Hope to see you there, as well as my session on scalability in Windows Azure SQL Database. Hope to see you there.